Okay, this is from Mr. Branson because we had a little. I may feel different about things than you do, so I just wanted to put out what I feel. Um, I like eating meat. I like eat every once in a while. I like to have a hamburger. Steak, just not very much. Sometimes I've eaten lamb and like a lamb. I had made a lamb meatloaf. No, I think they take the lamb away from the mother at 9 months and then slaughter it. And I won't. I will not eat veal, knowing what they're doing to this. I think it's horrid. I think it's ignorant. I don't see how anybody can feel good about their job when they're torturing an animal. And I'm sure that's what Mr. Branson feels too. And some people just don't like meat. I eat very little meat, but I eat a little bit of it. And it's not necessarily for the protein. It's just because I like it. I grew up on it. My mom would cook spaghetti sauce with hamburgers or hamburger meat in it. And it was so good. And so I think around the world it's like that too. They eat things they ate growing up, whether it's dog. I mean, I don't understand that, that would taste good, or horse. I mean, my dad tried to flavor the deer meat so that it tasted good, but I never thought it tasted good. I just didn't like deer meat. And it's not bad. I mean, you kill them, and if you're a good shot, I mean, that's competition. Those guys, my dad used to go up in the mountains, and he took us with little ponies, and I loved horses so much. And we had a bunch, probably 4 or 5 little ponies that had all their packs on them. They were going up the middle of a mountain somewhere, a bunch of men going hunting. William and Mary, come on. No, they weren't really, no, and I think now there's a lawyer, like a divorce. It was like well-educated men that were going to have a powwow, and I imagine they had a few beers, but I don't know. I've never seen my dad drunk, not once. My mom I have, but never my dad. Very controlling, probably to the point that he's still controlling me now. I would like to think not, but the things he's filled my head with probably still have something to do with how I think. And I've tried to think differently, and I do think differently than some things he says. But some things he's right in. And I guess getting to be an adult, you have to decide those things. You do things different than the parents. And my daughter, she went vegan. So we did that for 2 or 3 months. And I went along with it. I mean, I couldn't put honey, and I got the big thing of honey, not the special expensive local flour. I mean, I just got a big thing of honey. I don't know if it's abusive to the bees, but you're not supposed to eat it if you're vegan. So I couldn't put honey in my lemon leaf tea. I think we try to do things in this world to make it a better world, and we see there's problems, so we do the best we can with what we know. And for some people, that is rescuing old cows and putting them in a wheelchair. See, the thing that I think is that so you don't want to kill pigs. You don't want to have bacon. They're smart animals. Yeah, they are. So are dogs. But my uncle had a few pigs. He had 2 or 3 pigs, and they lived on the farm. And then one day he shot them, or killed them. However he killed them, I think he shot them. I think that's what my sister's husband does with her Angus. We have an Angus breeding farm where they don't. It's a non-slaughter place. They just breed Angus and sell it out to farms for stock. Yeah, there's definitely favorite cows. I mean, my sister will take her little Jeep thing out there, and she'll drive around and pet the cows and the ones she likes, and they're pets. And so we're at the table, and we're like, well, what's the name of this one? And she said, Dinner. Oh, they name them like brunch, dinner, depending on what time of year it is and who's going first. Cannibalism of people. I mean, my great-grandmother did that to survive. Yeah, 1618, there was a freeze in Jamestown. They had no food. They were starving. They were going to die. So they got the children that had died, and they cannibalized and ate their brains to survive. I mean, if you can drink your piss if you're out on a sailboat and say you get lost, I think they say 3 times your body will allow that before it's poisoning you. And then there's piss Christ, and people just fell apart about that. I didn't. I mean, if it had been poop Christ, I would have said that's pretty ugly. But piss Christ was kind of pretty. So, I mean, I think you can think for yourself about what you want to do and stuff like that. I think humanely killed animals and humanely kept. Like cows, like our cows on our farm, they're in a big field. They go anywhere they want. I mean, it's acres and acres. There's probably 40, 50 acres they have fenced in for about 5 cows. And you need that much space. You need a lot of space. And see, that's why they don't do it that way anymore. They overburden the cows, stress, and then they eat the grain and fat. That's not, I mean, we have real grass-fed Angus, and she doesn't give it to me. I've had it. I mean, it's good sometimes. I'm not into specialty food so much. I just eat to eat. I mean, if it's a really good meal, I'm really happy. Like, my daughter went through this thing where she was doing spring rolls, and we didn't have any, she's a vegetarian still, so it didn't have shrimp in them. But I loved it. I came home, there was a big stack of spring rolls, and I was just like, oh my God, this is like my favorite food. It's so fresh, and you dip it in the sauce, and it was really good. I am against the mindset of the fast food hamburger, because those are the cows that are being mistreated because they're so cheap. And I had suggested to McDonald's they do hummus sandwiches or peanut butter sandwiches. Or, I mean, mistreating the cows, and the dairy is the same way. Dairy is the same way to get so much milk. Nowadays we have almond milk. You know what I mean? There is other choices to get your calcium. Your calcium is important. And sometimes I drink just the cheap milk because I'm on a budget. You know what I mean? And I think a lot of people feel that way. I'd like to do it right, but the way the prices are, I have to get the cheap stuff. I mean, I can't afford a $10 thing of milk. I just can't. Especially on my food stamps. So if I'm on food stamps, I probably can't afford. At one time, it was so funny. I was on food stamps again. I had a daughter, and Hillary, and Mom and I had gone to Charlottesville. I'm not sure why, but we'd gone, and she went. My mom was real fancy. I mean, she had sterling silver, and her china plates are, I would say, fucking fantastic. I mean, they are like king and queen expensive china plates. I mean, she was really into decorating and making everything look really good and like it's so happy and so wealthy, and it just wasn't. I mean, that wasn't the life we led. But she did have the china. It reminds me of that Tori Amos song, China. Mom was happy. She was okay. She was okay. She got better when they put Wellbutrin out. She needed some of that. But she couldn't drive anywhere without it. She was agoraphobic, panic attacks. But with Wellbutrin, and nowadays psychiatric medication is coming even further. It's coming even further. I mean, it really helped my mom, and it helps me. And so I just think grass-fed, happy cows, importing, exporting, the money that they make, it has to change. It just has to be recreated to another field of study, of nutrition, of what we need for our body. Do we need that much meat? I think maybe you could win and lose some customers from saying, well, we've done a real study, and you really only need 4 ounces of meat every 2 weeks, as long as you're eating some hummus and peanut butter and yogurt. I love yogurt. Just regular cow milk. Greek yogurt I put in my oatmeal. But I think creative people can figure out the nutrients to let us know what we really need without being biased to make corporations money. You know, these farmers work for corporations, Tyson, things like that. And my mom dated this chicken farmer who was a millionaire. Yeah, the crappy little chickens in there. I would not put chickens in those chicken houses. They're people. Those chickens are like people. And you just, maybe they're so dumb. Maybe they bred. Maybe they're all just like, they don't know what's going on anymore. They've just taken the brain out of them. But I think they suffer. I do think they suffer in those chicken houses. So, I mean, I know it's idealistic, but if we were to do it right, it would all be like grain-fed and grass-fed, chickens run, like my sister has a chicken house running around the yard. Animals do get old. I think, was in India, they don't kill some goats or something. And so you got your Angus, and if they die of old age, they're going to suffer from cancer anyway. They'll probably get tumors or something from being out in the sunshine, even though they're black. But what I'm just saying is they're going to suffer at some point. And they're going to suffer when they're old. They'll get a disease. And like my dog Charm, I'll have her put down because I don't want to see her suffering when she gets unhappy. And right now she's not suffering. She's perfectly happy. She gets up, jumps, runs. Sometimes she gets frisky. And I know she's enjoying her life. But when that chicken gets old and seems kind of haggardy and unhappy and depressed, so you're going to put him to sleep. So you give the little chloroform and put him to sleep. And then you're just going to toss his body and waste all that. Or I guess you could feed it to the dogs. But you don't do that. You feed your dog vegetarian. So my proposition is this. Animals treated humanely. They don't suffer when they die. And all natural foods. And see, I don't like zoos. I know I saw Banksy had an elephant all decorated. I'm sure it was an elephant born in captivity. I mean, he wouldn't do that to a wild do that to a wild elephant. Cows are born in captivity. The only reason they exist is because people have made it possible for them to exist. Pretty much chickens too, because the coyotes would kill them all. We see a few wild turkeys, and I've had a wild turkey, but they're pretty sneaky. They hide. You don't see them, those wild turkeys. And it is a delicious luxury on Thanksgiving to have a real wild turkey out of the woods. Like on our farm, every once in a while I'll see 2 or 3 wild turkeys go across the driveway in the woods. And my dad got one year, and we had it, and it was delicious. I mean, I know sometimes we get overpopulated with deer, and if people like deer, I think it's a good thing to kill them and market their meat. You could market it. I don't know what the Bureau of Investigations does to market meat, but so you just got these guys that are sharpshooters, and usually it just goes right through their brain. I mean, they don't suffer. If you're fucked up, if you're drunk, yeah, you're gonna fuck up, and you're gonna hurt that animal. But my dad would shoot them right through the brain. The ones he knew what he was doing. Plus, he was in Quantico. I mean, he was in the Marines and stuff. Plus, he practices. He's got a practice range of shooting that they do all the time. They just like it. I don't do it, but skeet shooting I might do. But still, just the bullet kind of bothers me. It's just the idea of violence. And I think that's why I haven't caused a riot or any upsetness in the black neighborhoods, because I'm just who I am. I'm peaceful. I'm at peace with who I am. I've been through a lot. And I'm doing the best I can with what I've got and trying to help a situation with my children that maybe I didn't handle correctly. I was scared of leaving him because I was afraid he would get custody of the kids when they were little. And I stuck with that marriage too long, trying to make it happy. We bought a horse farm and trying to get him to stop drinking. I can say I'm glad I went through it. I hope I live long enough to make good use of it to help other people in the same situation by explaining what I did and what I did wrong, and what, if somebody can talk to me and I'm like, I know it's, they're not there, the person's not there, and then they're in denial and you can't speak to him about it. He told me he did not like confrontation, so there was just no way I could talk to him about it, like as a person, about his drinking. There's places inside me that have been opened up over the past few years and were very painful that I dealt with. Like the marriage between my parents was really difficult. I had to testify against my mom, but I only did that to get on my dad's good side so he wouldn't abandon me. And then he abandoned me, so it just doesn't work. And then I was mad at my dad. Well, not really mad at him, but just like, you're so selfish, because when you inherited all that money from your parents and Uncle Porter, and you bought your house, you didn't give Mom anything for alimony for 18 years with 3 children she stayed home with and parented as best she could. And she had a little bit of money. I mean, she had a nice house, a nice little Cape Cod my brother helped her build. But my dad could have given her $10,000. I mean, she wanted to go to Europe, and she just didn't feel like she had the money. And she was trained. the one thing I like about my mom was she was transparent about her money. She's like, well, I've got 300 in my checking account for this week, and I'm getting my rent check, and I've got 5,000 in savings, and I cannot touch my savings just in case something happens. So honesty was nice. My dad has no ability to be honest. I have no idea how much money he has. I don't know. Could be 5 billion. I don't think so. But he could have nothing. He could be a pauper. I don't know. But it's that kind of, it's almost like manipulation of like, well, you might get inheritance or you might not. If you do this, you might. So I gave up. I said, I'm changing my name to Elis, which is the birthplace of the Olympics, which is the coincident because I just came up with the name. I went down and checked, and then I had panic attacks. I was like, oh my God, now my name's different than my kids. But I was at the not VCU, but I was at the William and Mary, the VMFA, and I love the Greek section. I just it's so old. God, freak! It's like BC stuff, and what they did was so beautiful. There's a pair of earrings I want, and I've been off. I said, how much for these earrings here in this cabinet? Of course, I would never wear them, even if I could afford them, because I'm sure I would lose one. But I would wear a replica of them, and I think that might be a good thing to do, is replicate some of those earrings for sale for grease and fake gold, like, or sterling silver or something like that. I would buy a pair. But no, I wouldn't wear, I mean, I know I've seen Pretty Woman, and he put a necklace on her. I don't know if Ken had given me something like that. I'd been like, what the fuck, you don't believe I'm real? He gave me a bent thimble for my finger. And I lost it when I was moving everything to California, and then we stopped at Hillary's. I told my friend Joanna, I said, we've been hoodwinked. We're staying in Fredericksburg. We're not going to California because I could not leave my grandkids. And it's funny, metaphysically, how just out of the blue, my good friend, just soulmate kind of friend, he calls me, he texts me, he goes, I want to fuck you. And I was like, that doesn't sound like Wes. I mean, we don't do, we're artists, but, and then I went to sleep that night and I had a dream that he had a bilobal penis, and it was like a warm hug. That's the way that it felt. And so I told him the next day on text. We haven't talked in years, but in text I said, I had a dream that you had a bilobial penis. And he said, did you know opossums have bilobial penises? So anyway, I was stuck. I was going to stay and be a grandma. And I'm ready to go to California again, drive across the country, and I'm going to get my camper shell and go have adventures and meet people and stuff like that. But I think I might have to stay. I was going to go to Florida in January, but I think if I can get Brooke on my side, he's not excited about it. It's too large of a project for him to encompass in his mind, really, at this point. Like, I mean, he does it, and he's so sweet and does, but if he really believed that I could bring world peace, I think I'd have more of his attention instead of him telling me not to send an email but every 2 weeks. I'm like, but things change daily. I learn things daily. But he doesn't get that. Yeah, if I had money, I'd get a professional website builder. Hell yeah. I'm going to pay him $10,000 or something. I don't have the money. I just gave Brooke $100, and there's a painting I want to give to him, and I said, if I make it as an artist, you'll be able to retire if you sell this to a buyer or something like this. And I like him very much, but he's really not a website. He just does websites, but his heart and soul's in music. He loves music, and he's a literature guy, and he graduated U of R. He's very smart. I like Brooke a lot, but he's not a website guy, not a professional.